So
Sorry.
that's okay. I believe that Savannah, you have to recuse for 3B. Is that right?
3A, the
3A.
Amazon.
Okay, so if we should be okay, Carol, you have to leave. We'll see where we are, but let's pray that we're down by 3.
Okay,
So,
okay.
okay, so good afternoon, everyone. This is the Plans Review Subcommittee of the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission meeting of Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, and the meeting is called to order at 1:04 p.m. and I'll do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Carol Griffith.
Here.
Savannah McDonald.
Here.
Jan Mulder.
Here.
Joel Ireland. Joel?
No, he was just here a minute ago.
Joel, you're muted.
Yeah. Hit your unmute button, Joel. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I can't just unmute him. Can you unmute Joel, or you're still having trouble? You might have to call in if you can't unmute. Can you ask somebody at home?
Here, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I was in a computer loop. Sorry. Here.
Okay, so, and then absent is Commissioner Riojas. So just for the record. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started then with item 2, which is approval of the legal action report minutes for the meeting only of September 28th today. Correct, Jody? And the October 12th meeting will be ready to approve at the next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So could I have a motion to approve the legal action report minutes for the meeting of September 28th as submitted?
I will move that we approve the legal action report minutes for the meeting of September 28th as 2023 as presented.
Okay, as submitted. Okay, so who will second that?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this?
This is Jan. I just have one comment about the clause in our, let's see, in the minutes from September 28th that talk about the minutes from the 14th being ready for the September 28th meeting.
Well, I think that's okay. It just didn't happen and it will be reflected in these minutes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
No need to strike that clause or?
I don't think so, Jody.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll be noted. Correct. They'll be noted as not being ready for this meeting.
Okay.
In today's. Okay, so
Okay.
is everybody okay then? And I'll go ahead and call roll, or are there other comments? Okay, so I vote aye. Carol?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll start with item 3, which is historic preservation zone review cases. We review these under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0.0, also historic district design guidelines, and the revised Secretary of the Interior standards and guidelines. Case 3A is TPPRE 1023-00348 at 1135 West Miracle Mile. This is for rehabilitation of the former Amazon Motel. It's a courtesy review in the Miracle Mile National Register Historic District. It's a contributing resource. We're using the rehabilitation standards. Jody, do you want to give background on this?
The representative is not here in the meeting. I have emailed them. I say that we wait for a little bit and go on to the next item and wait for them to show up? See if they show up.
Okay, so the presenter's not here, and was this the one you needed to recuse for? I'm sorry, Savannah, you said yes?
Yeah, it's a PMM project, but I don't think PMM is presenting. Jody, do you know who is? I could also have my people ping them.
Sarah Megason is the one
Okay.
who requested it, but she's out of office, so I copied Ann Chineka on an email just now
Okay.
to ask them what's what. So we'll see. It's
Okay.
it's just a courtesy review. This is not a full review for them.
Okay. I mean, I could also find out if someone from my firm who's involved in it could stand and present just to keep it moving. So just stay tuned, I guess.
Okay, and then
Okay.
we'll go ahead with 3B then, and we'll come back to 3A whenever it's ready after a case is finished, if that makes sense. Okay, so we'll move on to 3B, which is SD 0623-00071 at 220 East Speedway. This is for a new fence and access gate, exterior door and window replacement, asphalt removal and replacement, landscape replacement. It's a full review in the West University Historic Preservation Zone. This is a contributing resource, and we use the rehabilitation standards. Jody, do you have background?
Yes. Of course, I just closed that window. This went to the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board on September 19th. It was recommended to approve the windows and door styles and material as proposed. ADA ramps should not be attached to the building, just the slab. Removal of the 2-foot wall from the fence, and the fence can be 6 feet in height. Approval of the window sills as proposed, and would prefer moving fence to the south to allow an 8-foot setback from the curb. And it was 4-0 approved.
Okay, let's then go ahead with the presentation, and who will be presenting again?
Randall, Randy, you can call me Randy. Randall's my stage name or my Zoom name, I guess. Jody, thanks a lot. Jody kind of recapped everything for us. I can give you a little bit more background. Our client is a national organization that does foster placement and support throughout the country. They've been tenants in this building for several years, and last year actually bought it at the end of last year as their employees really liked it there. And we were asked to help kind of bring it up to the standards of what Casey Family Programs kind of does nationally. That being said, one of the big drivers it started out was really just the site itself, to make it look a little more presentable, a little more stand up with the rest of the historic part of the neighborhood, and that front on Speedway, just to clean it up. The other big issue for them was some vandalism, and really the homelessness problem, which I know is occurring everywhere. Seemed to be a really good spot for people to get out of the shade right in front of their door under that porch. There's been some really horrendous experiences that we won't really get into detail on, some drug use, all these other great things that go on there. And recently, there you had someone threw a rock through one of those front windows because they saw like Halloween bags and they thought it might be something, and crashed through there and grabbed them, and it was really just decorations for kids and things like that. So this has been an ongoing problem out there. So that was really one of the drivers they asked us to look at, to make it presentable, make it safe, etc. That's really what we ended up with the design that you all see right now. And after our meeting with West University people, it was a great conversation back and forth to understand what's important to everybody. And we really appreciate the approval of especially the 6-foot tall fence, because that's kind of important for everyone. In general, the building, we're not increasing footprint, we're not changing height. We're really just trying to put it back to some sort of semblance of what it might be, what it might have been. And so all of the windows and doors are getting replaced with a kind of a, you guys will appreciate this too. I think we went around, we had some really great discussions with the West University people as to what is the historic style, and that building itself, I think in the inventory form, it called it a neoclassical mission mix. And I'm a native here, as is my father, and we've been here a long time. And you look around, and things change over the years. That's what gives Tucson, I think, its historic really interest and quality. So that building inside had a lot of sort of prairie school, or call it craftsman style details as well. The client really liked them because they're elegant, and so that's what we chose for our mullion patterns on the windows and doors. Was more of a prairie school or craftsman type expression. The other thing that they want to do is they're going to also paint the building. We've included in our narrative what the colors they're would like to use on the building, which closely match some of the newer buildings. It's the kind of the off-white with like a cobalt bluish details. Accent. The windows themselves are also going to have a blue. It's an aluminum clad wood window with a blue window frame cladding on them. And beyond that, we're going to pull up and replace the parking. The other driver for this is the ADA access. Although there is some there, and although yes, it is compatible and compliant, it's not. It didn't have a lot of dignity to get to the front door. You can't really get to the front door of this building if you are in need or have special needs. You're going upstairs, maneuvering through the parking lot, and not a really safe way as it was previously. I'm not really sure that the existing parking layouts were really compliant. They didn't really work well either. They were sort of done over the years. A lot has been done to that building over the years that obviously was either done under the radar or just done before people were paying proper attention to these things. So we're trying to bring it all back to give it a consistency. Parking lot layouts, we are about ready to hopefully be released from the development plan with PDSD. The one thing I would like to bring up that we're in discussions with, the last point of that, is the idea that a lot of these improvements are within the right of way. Everybody seems to understand and know that they are. They've been that way for, I guess as long as I can remember, and as long as the building has been there. West University agreed to our concept with, we have agreed also to eliminate a 2-foot wall where we're just going to be doing a see-through decorative picket fence. We are also going to move it back. We may be even moving it back further from Speedway after our discussions with the right-of-way department and with the PDSD. That we are actually in process with. We're also in discussions with them. They may we're working on getting a temporary revocable easement, I believe is the term that they're suggesting we use. Client is more than willing to and understands that if Speedway ever gets expanded, that any improvements we put in there will go away. So we've offered to the right-of-way guys, to people on site in the site reviews, that if we need to shift anything further, we can do that, as long as we can still kind of maintain some of the presence that we have. Security is really the biggest issue driving that fence location. West University wanted us to not attach our security fence to the building at all. The property line, if you guys have been looking at the site plan, the property line is actually right at the front porch. So the right of way goes all the way up to the front porch. And so if we did talk with our client, we've gone through different iterations to see how we might be able to enclose that. With our ADA access, there's like a 30-inch, call it landing now, that comes off of grade. And if we put a fence right up against it, that's see-through. They can use the landing as a climbing place. If we try and do something that's non-climbable, then it starts to detract from the building. It's just a vicious kind of cycle. So what we've asked for is, we're more than happy to pull it off of Speedway. Right-of-way guys are looking at it.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
you're welcome to share your plans. I've made
I'm sorry. I thought you all had them.
No, we're letting you share your plans so you can point out items.
Apologize. Hold on one sec. I'm just going to go ahead and you should have cut me off sooner there, Jody.
And do bear in mind, this is a packed schedule, so.
Yep, I'm about wrapped.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, here is what I was getting at with, can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, this dark line in here is our property line, comes right across that porch. So that's what, and what we're talking with the right of way guys with is the right of way on Speedway pretty much comes all the way to property line, and they have a 22-foot buffer that's pedestrian and bicycle. And they're talking to us about possibly putting the fence somewhere in that 22-foot buffer, just to give us that relief. So that's really what I wanted to share as far as the history of it. But we're not changing the height proportion. There's no additions. Footprint doesn't change. We're not adding any additional openings either to the building. All the additional window sills that are on the building remain the same. And then we've done some cleanup where there was large trees in the back tangled up with the power lines and their electrical service that's been maintained. And just some general basic landscaping that's just supplementing what's already there. Is there any questions that I can answer?
Who would like?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, it's a little confusing. I don't understand where on this plan is Speedway to the north. Sorry.
Yes, it is.
Labeled. Where's the fence that's proposed that we're supposed to review?
The fence is right up here at the top. Let me grab something else that might help you. But the fence, this line up here is the original plan that everyone's been reviewing, Savannah. And it's that darker line is what was proposed as the 2-foot tall masonry wall with a fence on top of it, which we have all agreed to. That masonry wall is going away, and it's just a decorative open picket fence now.
Do you have a elevation of the fence that's proposed?
I do, and I'm getting that for you right now too. I'll bring that up. I'll bring up my drawing set. I was using the stuff that was loaded up in there, and I will pull up this drawing set for you right now.
We need elevations too to review any windows.
Yeah, got it.
That should have been uploaded with.
Yes, I'm gonna just grab it now.
It's not in what we received.
I will tell you now, there was some kind of glitch with Energov when we were trying to upload their documents. Sorry, I forgot about this. We had IT on it. We had everybody looking at it. And when they were trying to upload that's my fault, documents, and I forgot to mention this to you, it wouldn't take it. It was a big fiasco on the IT side.
Okay, thank you.
Things are starting to lock up on the computer.
Great.
Maritza is also a co-host and she can share her screen.
Probably.
Maritza, can you pull that up? Here we go.
Yep.
Hold on. Why don't you bring yours up as backup like that?
I have the historic
Do you?
review. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Oh shoot! How do I do this? Oh,
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Share my screen.
Coming.
There we go. Share.
There we go.
Yeah. So the north side would be this. What we had proposed was the 2-foot wall and then the 2-foot fence, but we were allowed to do just a 6-foot fence.
Now, so it's now a decorative picket fence,
Correct.
entire 6-foot height. Okay.
Correct. So that would go up to about here and just be all fence.
Okay.
And that's what we had on the other sides also, which was, this would be the 6-foot fence.
And so it's actually a bigger area than shown on that first drawing that Randy had up.
No,
Yeah, we were just shown that there was fence on the north side. Can you show on the site plan the extents of the fence?
hold on for 1 second. Oh, wow. Oh, this is the site plan. The fence would actually go along here, the whole west side with an access gate here. And it would go on the east side also with 2 access gates, a one-way drive down going from the north to the south and out.
And would the access gates also just be the metal picket that rolls
Yep.
back? Whatever?
Yes, Yes, just like this.
And the one on the west side, is that gonna be just a smaller, pedestrian gate?
There's pedestrian.
No, they were,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Marisa. Yeah, there's pedestrian gates coming off of Speedway and then one off of Fifth as well.
right.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead, Savannah, your question.
Oh, you said Fifth, is Fifth east? Is that East
Yes,
Street?
sorry, Fifth, yes, it is. And this is, this is on the west side, it's actually a street, but it's more like an alley. But it is actually an official street.
Yeah, wouldn't it be good to have the street names on the site plan, just for folks that are challenged?
Marisa, do you have the cover sheet that showed the? Oh,
Not,
down on
not for the historical, we didn't have to do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So I didn't
Down on
have
the-
that, but
on-
I can pop those up if we need to.
Your last sheet shows sort of the aerial, I think might give them some context.
Okay.
No street names still, so.
No,
It's really important for orientation, not just us, but for those checking the plans, different stages of the review process, I think. Okay, go ahead.
and this is the aerial, this is the property that is, we're talking about, this is Fifth Street on this side, Speedway up north. And I cannot remember the street on the,
Arizona Alley.
yeah, Arizona Avenue. No, I should know, it's right here.
Okay. Savannah,
Yeah, sorry. So just back to the site plan, you said there's a pedestrian gate off Speedway. Can you just tell me where that is on the plan?
Right here. They,
Is it
the DP review folks required, well, we needed one here. That's what we originally had, and we were required to do a second one here.
Is it a swinging? I just don't see it on there. Is it
Oh,
a
you
swinging
know what?
gate or
The
is it sliding?
PDF did not print the way it should have printed, like always.
Yes, the swinging gates.
They're swinging gates, sorry, yes.
And they're pickets just like everything else?
Yes.
Okay. It's just yeah, there's just some missing pieces there in our review. So I think I'm clear on the gates and fencing. Could you show us the elevations, the kind of existing and then the new proposed? Since we didn't get that in our packet.
I do not have the existing, I have existing photos, if that would help.
Okay, so the elevations you pulled up are the proposed ones with the
Yes.
aluminum clad wood windows?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, if you could show us the existing, just so we.
See if I can make this larger so you guys can actually see these. I don't know if that helps. This would be the east side. This is also the east side. This is the north elevation, sorry. Here. That
Yeah,
help?
it's hard to see the pattern and everything there. Maybe a Google Street View or something.
And this is what that is.
It's a little
There we
better.
go. Yeah. The pattern is, you know, your typical smaller on the north side anyway. A lot of these windows have been replaced with completely different types of windows all the way around. So I don't know, these were for sure, these were the original, some of the original ones.
The ones on the north.
On the north and then on the west elevation. Let me see if I can make that bigger.
So what is the configuration of the mullions, the muttons, the operation? It's just hard to tell with
So there,
the security rail. in
yeah,
front of that.
Savannah, so there's a mixture, there's some double hung, or some single hung windows in there, there's some fixed windows. And I'll make a note to all the security, the bars on all the windows, we're proposing to have all of that removed as well. Because we'll have a security fence around the property. So that will go away. But there is combination of fixed windows, single hung windows, some 10 light French doors, some single light French doors, and yeah, solid.
Couple of solid doors.
Yeah. So it's kind of a mishmash, and we're planning on kind of keeping everything in the same mullion pattern as we proposed on our elevations.
Does
So
that-
if you go
somewhat-
back to the first drawing, go back to the first one, was it to your left there? of the existing, and then tell us, because what's really
Oh.
useful for us is to have existing west elevation with proposed, so you can look and see what the changes, because windows are super important and it's difficult to do this. So if you look at the first existing, tell us what's going to be different. You said that the security fences, the security bars on the windows would be gone,
They'll
right?
be gone, right? And then Maritza, click on your elevations and then we can show them what the east elevation looks like on your drawing set, and then
Hold on.
find
Right.
So
That
is
was
that,
very
is that
difficult.
mullion pattern something that existed?
some of it inside, on outside, there's more of like a single hung, and double hung type situation. So, I don't, what might
I
have
think
been
she's
that?
asking about the prairie style.
Yeah, on the
Uh,
outside windows, I just didn't see them, but they may have
No.
been blocked by the security screens.
No, there are not. There aren't, that Craftsman Prairie style thing is not on the building. There's some interior details like that.
Okay.
In the uploaded documents, there were window like cut sheets.
Yes.
And in addition to the prairie one, there was a more traditional divided, like, 4-part divided light fixed and single hung. Is that not proposed, or is it just not on one of the elevations we're looking at?
No, that is not proposed. That was, shoot, I can't
That
remember.
was, yeah, that was just, it was more of the technical performance standards for the windows.
Okay.
Well, it seems odd to me because unless I could be becoming senile, but I don't think that I'm really seeing many things in this HPZ that are like this prairie style.
Yeah, I mean, you said there were interior instances of it, but did you make the assumption, or is there any evidence that it was ever on the exterior?
On
of
this building, it's hard to say. No, I don't know. And what we did is sort of, we looked around the neighborhood, and that's again what's sort of great and frustrating at the same time about the historical styles here, is that there's been there's a mishmash of a lot of it, and there's a lot of the bungalow craftsman stuff, not necessarily on our building. I'm just saying in the area, and the owner liked some of that, and as did we. We thought it brought an elegance to the building. And since there was no real clear, we couldn't find any, at least, we thought that it might be appropriate as well.
Did you check the Historical Society for any photographs of, historic photographs of this building?
The
Um,
only thing there is the inventory,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
The inventory form.
Yes, the original inventory form. And there wasn't anything in the Historical Society.
It looks a lot like what it does now when that inventory was done.
Yeah, and
It
the
does.
resolution is so poor, like you can't tell.
Yeah.
Well, commissioners, what do you think of having this additional window detail?
I don't feel great about it. I mean, I could get the character that it portrays, but if there's no evidence it was originally there, I don't like necessarily the idea that it was kind of this kind of forced situation to look historic. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel the same way. This is Jan.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
kinda
I mean,
do
they're
too.
very nice. It's a very nice design, but it's not something really characteristic of even homes that have craftsman style details on the interior, wouldn't you say? I mean, you can have those. I mean, we have, what, in El Presidio, we have that, the city-owned building, or where, near the museum. But that doesn't even have those windows, I don't think.
I have a question then to clarify that. Would it be more suitable, in your opinion, to have no mullion pattern in to sort of match closer what those original, what we feel at least are the original single hung windows?
Yeah, do you have an image of that? I mean, I think taking inspiration of whatever's left makes a lot of sense. I know most of them are gone, but if your north ones are intact.
So it's basically would be that window that you see there on the right. And it'd be basically the same configurations we have, except no mullions in there. There would be no pattern in the window at all.
I
But
really
that's
think,
like a series of 3 single hung.
Yeah, that
Uh-huh.
is, yeah.
Why?
then-
Don't
and then-
know, but
And then you're seeing the security bars.
yeah, the security bars do deter a lot from what was there.
yeah. Well, I like Savannah's point of taking inspiration from the existing windows without the security bars.
Yeah, okay. Well, and that's really my question. If that's what you guys feel is most appropriate, then we can remove the mullions. The client wanted that as a kind of a detail for him, more of an elegant thing. But if this is what you guys feel is appropriate and something that we'd be able to move forward with, then we can remove those mullions.
Yeah. And again, Randy, what we'll do in our motion is make a recommendation in both the West University Historic Board, and our recommendations will go to the director, who will make a final decision. So, yeah, so that's how it works. But it sounds like what we're leaning toward in a motion, but we don't know yet because we're still reviewing. So, okay, Savannah, is that what you're thinking for the windows? Or do you have other questions on the windows or other aspects?
I mean, if you're replacing like for like in all those situations, I feel super comfortable if we just kind of go with a pattern that's based off this north facing one. But I guess my only remaining question is the doors. I do see doors in this elevation with the divided light pattern with the kind of the finer muntins. Are those to be replaced as well?
Yeah, they're going to be replaced as well, and they were going to have a similar prairie style kind of mullion, and we might want to just, if that's appropriate as well, just have no mullions.
And these are not original, are they?
No, look like a lot of what looks like happened is they replace stuff inside of original frames.
Mm-hmm. But not.
Yeah, it's not the original.
And are these, can you go, sorry, now that I have the image in my mind, can you go to the north elevation of what's proposed? Are they all glass, or are they some of them solid?
On the north, in the north, they're all glass. Or in the north. I think on the west there's one solid door. And on the east, I think there's one solid door as well.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so that middle bay has like a side light, is that right, with a single door?
Yeah,
What is that?
That's the main entrance.
Their main entrance.
Oh, okay.
Their main entrance right now is a solid door with 2 tiny little side lights, and they wanted a lot more light coming in through that front area.
And that original one is not historic either. That looks like a 70s vintage of something, or 80s vintage of something that was replaced.
Right, so what am I looking at here? It's this, is there a door on
The left.
the right, on the left?
On the left, yeah. They wanted a wider door, which is they have now. They have like a 4-foot door in the center, a wood door with 2 tiny side lights on either side.
Okay, so this is a 4-foot wide door?
I think it's 42.
One side light?
42.
42, okay, that's a big door. Okay, but it's solid, or I see
It's
the
solid.
lights.
Yeah,
It's
it's glass as well.
It's glass as well, okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think just full light glass doors. I'll let
just-
commissioners decide, but again, not imposing something that we don't know wasn't there. So yeah,
But
that
this
seems
is
fine
the
to me.
same size opening, right? That you would put the big door, the
Oh
4-foot.
yeah, everything is exactly the same opening except for the
Oh.
door location on this particular door.
Okay. Savannah?
Okay. Sorry, I'm done.
Did that answer your question, Savannah?
Yeah,
Clear? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. So right now, the West University said that they didn't want the ramps attached to the building. Do the
Mhm.
plans show them attached to the building?
Not the ramps, the railings.
Railings, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
like here, they want the end of it to not touch the.
Yeah, they want those ADA handrails detached from the columns, and we're just gonna set them on the inside of the columns. Freestanding, so they won't, they'll have their own support coming out of the new ramp and the new slabs.
Okay, so commissioners, that's something that needs to be in the motion if we're in agreement with that, because it's not what's currently shown in the plans. Right?
No.
Currently, right, okay. So what else is there that they want to change that is not in the plans yet? Because it shouldn't be, because you're going through the whole set of review, but you'll make one set of revisions, right? Once the direct.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, and the big change is that, getting rid of the 2-foot block wall on Speedway and moving the fence back. So it's not right on Speedway sidewalk.
Yeah, and so that would need to be in the motion, right, guys? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
so.
could you, this is Jan, could you go back and show us, that was a question I had, where you're proposing to move the fence now?
We're currently in discussions with the right-of-way folks. The West University people said they would be happy if we moved the fence 8 feet off of that sidewalk. I think with what we've had our discussions with the right-of-way people, they show about a 22-foot buffer between like our property line on the north there, 22-foot buffer that goes to the north that kind of maintains, like, it holds the bike path and a sidewalk and some landscaping in the future right away. And we kind of decided that they kind of felt like that might be the appropriate place for it, but we're waiting to get that final determination in our development plan.
So that's not so are you saying there's a 26-foot setback? Is that, if I'm reading this, and so your fence would be like 4 feet off the building?
Here, let me show you here. So there's so if that's roughly the property line, our fence would be roughly somewhere, let's see, we're 26 down there. It's about almost halfway is what the right-of-way guys were telling us,
Okay.
plus or minus.
And Jody, need a variance? I mean, would that need a variance recommendation?
The fence?
For construction in the right of way.
They told us a right-of-way permit, we would just be putting a right-of-way permit in
I
it.
think we're just talking about our review, like
Oh,
how
sorry.
it affect our review.
I mean, you could make a comment about it as a condition, but he's right. He would have to go through the right of way people to get the permit. And right of way is typically not something that you review.
They wouldn't have to go to the Board of Adjustment?
I don't think so. I think I don't think so.
Well, we can make something that we understand that there's right of way considerations for placement of the fence, but maybe ask the Jody's office, make sure that that's, accept something so that there's some eyes on it if we won't see it again, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just because that's a big shift back that many feet. It'll be real close to that ramp then. Won't it? That black thing that looks like a barbell is the ramp, or I mean the something, the steps, or what is that?
It's a sign.
It's just, oh yeah, because I can't. Oh, I see it because I can't see. Now I see it when I really get close to the screen. New monument. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. Who's next? Joel, do you have anything?
Yeah, just one, appreciate, Commissioner's comments and agree with them. Just one thing actually, we went out to attempt a minor review, or with Michael, and it turned out to be a lot of issues, so we recommended it go back for a full review.
Yeah, which he had recommended in the springtime. When I talked to him, I didn't realize he did not know or remember that it was going to be a major review. So
good enough. Yeah. So, but there was one thing brought up on the east side in the back. I don't know if you can see my cursor. I'm actually able to point to it, but on the east side in the very back, there was a door back there that was
Pan up there, Maritza.
I am trying.
Is it locked?
a
It
piece
is
of
weird.
plywood,
Oh, shoot.
sort of, and I'm wondering what the solution is there back. If you
I
understand,
am
remember the problem.
On the east side. Oh, you know what? Okay, here we go. On the east side. Which side? Which one? This one?
Yeah, see that? Yes, you've just pointed it out, I believe. There's that piece of plywood that's,
Yes, that
Yeah.
used to be like a storefront door. I mean,
Right.
storefront window that they added a door and plywooded part of the window. So our solution for that was to make the entire thing back to what it was, a storefront. Well, not storefront, but full size windows on that end.
oh,
And
okay.
that would be, you can't see it through here, but this is what they would be.
Okay, that's good. And I just want to make a general comment that you do really need the fence. That's a hot corner for
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of mess. So I appreciate your work on this very much on behalf of the West University neighborhood. So thanks.
For sure.
Great. Carol?
No, I think everything was answered. I had a question on the ramp and that was answered in the windows, so thank you.
Okay, so I think, is that everyone? Jan, did you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so who's ready for a motion? Savannah, are you up to it?
Yes, I am up to it. I'll do it. It started raining here, so there was one piece. I got excited and distracted, and there was one piece I missed, which was about the railings attached to the building or ramps. You guys said something about
Yeah.
that, and I apologize. Can
Let
you
me
clarify that?
Yeah, I'll clarify for that. The West University guys we have it designed right now that we have the ADA railing, the handrail in between the columns. And they wanted us to detach it from the building. So we're going to be using the ADA rail on the inside of the rail of the columns, and they'll be freestanding coming up out of the slab.
Does that
Okay,
make
so you're talking about guardrail.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, I will put that in the motion as well.
that one.
Okay.
They don't want it touching the columns at all.
Okay. Not to be connected. Is there anything there now?
No. Only on the east side, there's an actual ramp that's existing.
So that ramp, you're adding a handrail, but are you also adding a guardrail?
On the front, on the north, yes.
Is that less than 30-inch drop
Yes.
from the porch?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
So
good
it's
call,
a
though.
pretty open rail. That's okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So I'm gonna make a motion about the site plans the site plan to include street names, about the style of the window doors, about the railing on the north side, and then the guardrails not to be connected. Commissioners, does that sound generally okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
The
Oh, and-
fence shifting within the
Yeah,
Oh,
north fence shifting within the right of way to be
Within the
reviewed by
right-of-way.
Jody or something.
okay. Okay, got it.
and then did you say about there's not gonna be the 2-foot high block wall? It's just straight 6-foot height for the decorative thickness?
Yeah, let me edit this real quick, just because the plans currently show the block wall, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mhm. Is anybody having any issues with their internet connectivity due to the weather in Tucson right now?
Always.
Just so, yeah.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed,
Mine's going up here in a minute, so.
as long as it's not too windy.
It's raining,
Okay.
thank goodness.
All right, well, on the matter of SD-0623-00071 at 220 East Speedway, I move to recommend approval of the project as presented, with the following comments and notes: that the site plan be updated to include street names, that the prairie style detailing to be removed from the exterior windows and doors and instead match the north original windows with no divided lights. and that new windows and doors are to match original openings. That the we approve, we recommend approval of the proposed 6-foot steel picket railing for the north fence instead of the shown 2-foot block wall on the drawings, along with the swinging pedestrian gate to match the typical railing styles, and that the location of that north fence to be approved by both City of Tucson right-of-way and coordinated with the Historic Preservation Office. And then finally, that guard railings on the front porch to not be connected or attached to existing columns.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second. This is Carol.
Okay, is there a discussion? I just have one question. So Savannah, I'd asked the question about the entry gates, like that are non-pedestrian. I understood that there was, on the one side, there was an entrance for like a vehicle. Is that true, presenters?
Yes, on the
Okay.
east, yes, and they're
Yeah.
same style as the rest of the fence.
I think that is shown
there?
on the drawings though, is it? Or is it
Yeah.
not?
We
Both
have
sides.
There. And there.
I
And-
see a little detail too on that sheet, that ruling.
I did too, yeah. So that's covered. We don't need to worry because you said as presented with the following notes, so we're good, I think.
Okay, I think so, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead. Thank you for that motion. We have Savannah moving and Carol seconding. I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Savannah,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Joel,
Aye.
Jan.
Aye.
Thank you. So it passes 5-0. And presenters, do you need Jody to go over the next steps?
Okay.
You do or you
Yes,
don't?
yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So both this recommendation and the recommendation from the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board will be forwarded to the director, and the director will issue a decision letter. From the date of the decision letter, there will be a 14-day appeal period. During that appeal period, you cannot get permits. If somebody chooses to appeal, it can only be a party of record. A party of record would be you as the owner's representative, the owner. It could be the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board or the Plans Review Subcommittee. If the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board or the Plans Review Subcommittee opt to appeal the decision of the director, they would have to hold a special meeting to vote on whether or not they should appeal. It can't just be one person from those committees that decides to appeal. If they appeal or you appeal or the owner appeals, there is a fee associated with it. The last time I checked, the fee was somewhere between $500 and $1,000. It was closer to 1,000, I think. And you would submit that to the city clerk along with your reasons for the appeal, and then the appeal would go to the mayor and council for a decision. During the time that it's in appeal, you cannot get a building permit. For the record, we don't have a lot of appeals, currently have one, but in my 5-year time, we've only had 2. Including the one that's currently going to go to mayor and council. If you have no appeals, then you just, after the 14-day appeal period, you submit your permit with any of the conditions noted on the revised plans, and you are good to go.
Okay, what's the general time period for the decision letter?
We shoot for 2 weeks-ish.
Oh, okay, great.
Get that issued. It's somewhat dependent on getting complete minutes and motions out.
Okay, and I have a totally unfair question to ask, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. So when West University and you guys have different opinions on certain things, like the mullions, does that generally like add any more discussion time or anything from the director, or does he just look at it or he or she look at it and just say, well, I think this argument has more validity than this argument, and makes a decision?
I would say yes. Don't you think, Jody? I mean, it's really up to the director. I mean, we just have different views of it and on different ends of the spectrum on that one issue. So
Okay. That's why,
Yeah,
that's why
it
it
would-
was an unfair question.
no, it's fair. And Jody, you would probably be asked your opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
I would.
Okay, and one thing, presenters, Jody's very good about getting the recording of the meeting, of our meeting, posted quickly as a YouTube video on the
Yeah.
website. So you can listen to that because the minutes aren't going to be, they're going to accurately portray the motions, but they're not going to have a huge amount of, it won't be a transcription, for example. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I have no concerns. I mean, I understand you guys' opinion and about the millions, and if that's something that I know that we can work with this. And I think everything else, we've had great discussion and back and forth with West University and you guys, and we want to make sure we're doing right by the client and get this through and make sure that we're being appropriate and good neighbors. So
No, we
thank you for your time.
Yeah. Well, thanks. We appreciate that. And
All right,
we'll
thank
go
you.
ahead. You can take your plans down and we'll go on to the next.
Okay,
Okay,
Great.
thank you very much. Have a great day.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, so we'll go on to item 3C, which is SD 1023-00111 at 2544 East Allen Road. This is for repair of a crack in Rabbit Hole Arch, electrical upgrade, miscellaneous repairs. It's a full review at the Valley of the Moon Historic Landmark. It's individually designated on the National Register and will be using the rehabilitation standards. Now, Jody, could you give some background on this case? So it's basically a full review because the landmark, explain that whole thing. 'Cause it's in the HPZ or it's not?
It's an HL, it's a historic landmark. They're both an HL and they're listed individually on the National Register. The Valley of the Moon is a different setup than the normal houses out there.
Right.
It is a fanciful place to be. It is a full review because of the structural work that they're doing. But they have some other little minor things. They also are moving an electrical panel and stuff like that. And because it's multiple little things, we bumped it to a full review. Jenny Sunshine, who is, I believe, the executive director, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, Jenny, for Valley of the Moon, and she is here to present the project.
Great, thank
Yes.
you. Go ahead, Jenny, and if you want to pull up your plans, that would be great.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, Jenny, let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
I too, like Savannah, am distracted by the rain. You're a co-host, but you should be able to share your screen.
Alrighty. I'm actually not the executive director. We don't actually have paid positions, so I'm the president of the board. And we volunteered to be a historic landmark because we felt like it was the right thing to do, thinking that someday some board might be tempted to not protect Valley of the Moon. It's been protected for 100 years as a community attraction and resource. So we volunteered to do this. I remind myself that sometimes when I'm jumping through the red tape, right? The Valley of the Moon was built between 1923 and 1932, and it is. I'm glad that I have actual street name on here. It's on Allen Road. Prince Road is probably where you can't see it if your screen is like mine, on the right, on the west side, and then I'm sorry, above. Prince Road is there's townhouses, and then there's Prince Road above, and then to the right there's Tucson Boulevard. The repairs that we want to make are actually on the south end of our property. There was some confusion with permitting that we wanted to be involved with a parking lot, but we're not. We want to repair mostly the Enchanted Garden Complex, which is on the south end. This map might be a little confusing because south is up in this particular drawing. This is one of the problems with when you look at a site like Valley of the Moon, it is basically an outsider art, artist built environment. So it doesn't have your traditional buildings and expectations. So if you were, it is technically storybook style, but it is also really recreated from rocks and cables and basically trash that was from the dump next door. But anyways, with the repairs that we want to do, the major ones are going to be the rabbit hole arch, which is a garden feature. That is, if on this drawing G, and the wall that's around the enchanted garden, that's a thin shell concrete wall. And there's 2 layers to it. The buildings that you see, the F, E, and D, are all undergrounds, half underground at least, structures that George called troglodyte cavern. This is what the rabbit hole looks like on the outside. The archway here has a big crack. Then it's considered unsafe. We don't allow people to go under here anymore. But in the past, that was a big rite of passage that children could go under here and hop into the troglodyte caverns. The minor things that we need to do here that I'm trying to put everything in one package because I know you're short on time, so I'll kick these out while we're here. This column needs to have the metal in it finished, and we need to put concrete back over top of it so it doesn't rust out. Cause concrete problem. This little low wall here is actually a drainage feature. It's kind of nifty when it works, but it's over the last 100 years, it's become clogged, and that needs to be made taller for it to work. Because right now, all the monsoons is carrying dirt and debris into the pool, which is causing a problem. This allows you to see another angle of the rabbit hole, archway, and entranceway, and those houses that are, I say houses, the troglodyte caverns. What the proposal is, that we really like this proposal from Steve Hess, is instead of having bars that come down to hold this this archway up, or having to take all the stones down and then hope that we get it back upright, what they're wanting to do is to go ahead and put a steel beam behind the arch here. You won't be able to see it. This is the public view. You won't be able to see it much from the public view. If you travel here to go into the rabbit hole, you'll be able to see it a little bit. But it will require us to dig down and put a concrete foundation underneath this, and over by the doorway as well. It will require minimal changes, but it may require some to the rubble and rock face that's under here. Or we don't know what we have under there until we do it. We look at it because George used to make caves. He has areas that are filled with evaporated milk cans. So we're just not sure what's under there until we actually start that. But here's the structural drawing. I hope that's good enough. There was some talk of elevations, and we did LiDAR instead because elevations would take forever to draw each rock accurately. So we have some fabulous LiDAR drawings, but that's kind of another topic.
No,
But
that's
anyways,
great. It's great that you've done that documentation. That's really important. And I think taking photographs during the work will be really nice for documenting the whole repair. You know what I mean?
well, thank you. We are actually considering that. Valley of the Moon is one of 23 sites that's been invited to be part of the Artist Built Environment Network. It's a national group, and to come up with preservation strategies for these kind of vernacular buildings that don't quite fit with the Secretary of Interior standards. And one of the things that we're considering doing is using this as a model for artist-built environments that may end up falling down. We might lose them because if you have LiDAR, you have a scalable picture of it. So you could go ahead and make a cut and say, I want to see in here. So you could, it's actually a great way to preserve it if you have the money to do the LiDAR. And we have somebody who's really enthused, Brian Hope, to help us with this. So I'm glad that you're not like saying, oh no, I wanted an elevation drawing instead.
This is really the best idea for such a thing that's irregular and has, it's what's used often in like documenting cave sites that are that are significant historic resources, that also have cultural with them. So yeah, I think it's great anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm relieved. If you want to see more of it, we have a tour with a conference on Saturday. That highlights the LiDAR. This is inside the Enchanted Garden. I almost hesitate to throw this picture up because usually our Enchanted Garden is quite enchanted with a lot of plants. They've all been taken out so we can visualize what we have and make these repairs. This tall wall here is between 6 and 3 feet, depending on where it is. It wraps around the Enchanted Garden. It's built from chicken wire and cement that we have documentation. The cement came from Sears and Roebuck catalog. And I know it was amended till it screamed, but it's still standing there 100 years later. So we're lucky. Here's another view of it. That's the top outer wall is what you see at the top, and the ridging is from the form that was done with corrugated metal when the concrete dried. Underneath is the lower wall, and you can see the pilasters. Those are affectionately known as the cubbies by all the children that visit. They like to sit in there. Unfortunately, that's deteriorating. We're in danger of having that ballroom fairy house fall down along with the upper lip of that concrete ledge. So that needs to be taken care of. This is what the back of the Enchanted Garden thin shell concrete wall looks like. We're pretty proud of having made this no cost fix. This was before it was we volunteered to be a landmark. So nobody had the opportunity to tell us to do it differently. But we put some piping up there with some wooden wedges to try to be a place where the wall could rest if it fell further. And so now the top part of that, we believe it is falling further back, and we need to do something more permanent. What we want to do is a CMU fence wall around the back of it. This would not be visible from the inside of the Enchanted Garden where people view from. And we have it's not going to be one height. It's going to follow the height of the wall so that you are not going to be able to see it from the public facing side. And it will go all the way around. This is what the guts of it are. It's going to have a foundation, a concrete foundation, and then it's going to have a CMU wall that rises up. And I kind of think of it as, that here's the wall that's like an old grandmother like myself has a chance to rest a little bit on this. This area has grout inside of it, so it's not if there's some kind of huge wind or whatever, that's not going to be incredibly hard filling. We also are going to use the fact that we now have this wall back here as a way to shore up the lower wall. We're going to put steel rods. They have threads on them that go back, and they will connect to the bottom of this wall, so that we're going to be able to create some reinforcement for this wall back here without having to put rods down or something that you can see visually. It will have a little nut at the end that we are contemplating. Do we want to go ahead and put a dab of concrete over top of that to finish it and make it look, so you don't see the nut, or do we want to leave it as is? We're certainly open to suggestions for that. I think those of us who have been working on it feel that either one would be fine, but I can see that I can see opinions both ways. If you're into the details, that we do have the different size wall for the different height, the 3 foot, 4 foot, and the 6 foot freestanding wall supporting each section, whether it's a smaller wall like here or the taller wall back here. And the other thing we have going on here, just so that you know, this is an entryway to the troglodyte caverns, and so you can go in there, and that's where you can look out in the enchanted garden from inside there, or go through to the rabbit hole. What this is a planter, is what they've been calling it. I don't know what its purpose was in the day. We don't believe that it was 1930s. We think it was added since then because of the type of concrete that it is. But it is defying gravity, and it's pulling down the wall with it. So that can't stay. That it's been assessed. David Yabetta, who's the director of our preservation team, even though he has to direct us from his bedside after his COVID adventures.
Oh,
Yeah, he was in a ventilator for 40 days, but he's still
Yeah.
telling me what to do. But
Oh.
anyways, he says this is ready for catastrophic failure. That we could be walking through there one day and have this fall down and bring this entire wall down with it. So he has seen this as our most urgent repair needed. And then we have this door frame is falling apart. This door actually came to us in the 80s. But it's quite attractive, and we like it for keeping potential vandals, if people jump the fence, having them come in. Unfortunately, the frame is really rotting away, and the door is dragging on the ground. We can hardly close it anymore, and the threshold has always been a trip hazard. So we just want to refigure that. So we have changed the only thing we're going to really change out is, of course, the material, but we're going to keep the same look, except we're not going to have the bottom. We may need to put a little concrete to go underneath that to match the concrete that's on the other side. But we do want to remove the threshold, because it is especially difficult for people in walkers and that sort of thing. This is just a riprap wall. I think people have come and taken rocks from it when they've done other projects, and it's no longer big enough to be functional. So we want to expand that. This is our electrical update stuff. We want to go from 100 to 200, which is still kind of people were saying, why don't you go to 300? We don't have any refrigeration or any kind of high power stuff we're using. What we really need these lights for is fairy lights and just being able to get around safely. So this is on the same plan that the original site plan showed. This is the back wall where there's condos behind there. There's a utility pole, and that is the south side of the building. So there's a maintenance yard in here. We're going to take the electrical underground. We already took the electrical from the north end underground. We are very concerned about view shed with the electrical that we have overhead, as well as safety, because we've had electrical wires overhead wires that were draping down to rest on walls and whatnot. It was pretty unsafe. So we have a long-term plan of putting all of our electrical underground so that we can have a better view shed. We don't have the money to continue that underground right now through up to the Wizard's Tower. So we're just going to take it underground to the Enchanted Garden. We do need to put in a little sub panel. This is the back end of the troglodyte caverns. This is that wall that we need to reinforce. That's where the little sub panel is going to go. My understanding is it's required by permitting, because there's a little bit of a distance between it and where the new panel is. This is one of the reasons why we need a new panel. If you see, we have electrical cords on the ground. People can trip over them. Half of them aren't even functional anymore. And this is our existing panel. This is what drives the whole place. And we're afraid somebody driving back here to get a sheet of metal or something is going to one day hit that pole, and that could be a disaster. So what we want to do is move it over here. We already have a little stand here for the Adobe house. We have cooling and heating in the Adobe house, and that was a sub panel for the Adobe house. It goes underground from here to the Adobe house. So the new panel will go here and go underground to the sub panel. And that's it for me. As far as what I pulled together when I found out it only could be 10 minutes. Do you have any questions?
Oh, that was great. Commissioners, who would like to begin with questions? Carol, do you have anything?
I am just, it's quite a challenge. I mean, I'm just really impressed that you've been able to keep this structurally sound as long as it has been. And so I think that your plans are not only needed, but for safety reasons, but seem to have the least impact in terms of visually to the property. So I don't have any questions really about what you're doing.
Okay. Well, and I just wanted to say that I feel very comfortable that you have Mr. Ubeda, who gave, is the head of your preservation team, because he's been so knowledgeable about not only about Adobe, but masonry. And I mean, this is really a unique challenge that I'm sure that he has worked long and hard with you to come up with, appropriate solutions that, even though there's no real, there isn't like any National Park Service guidance for unusual things, right? Like this.
Right.
And so, but I think all the things you've talked about, minimal invasiveness, and Steve Hess's solution in the little cave thing is very Steve Hess, but I think it's, for safety of people going in there, it's minimally invasive, it's minimally visible. So, I mean, for me, I think they're great great changes that need to be made. Joel, do you have anything?
Yeah, just one comment, a couple comments. I actually visited this place several times back in the 70s, and wonderful place. In terms of whether or not to have the little dab of concrete, my own opinion is to leave the concrete off. In other words, show your construction nut, I guess, on the wall that you were talking about replacing that brace, so that was my only comment. Otherwise, looks pretty complete and thought out well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Joel? I mean, not Joel, Jan.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the thoughtful approach to this in the context of all the challenges you have. And I guess I concur with Joel in terms of just leaving the visual bolt, but I don't feel strongly about that if other people have strong feelings. But it seems like it's something that does need help and attention. It's probably appropriate to share that with people, maybe. But I do appreciate the structural approach on the rabbit hole, and the fact that such a substantial safety improvement can be so well hidden. So thank you.
Right. Savannah?
Yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I appreciate the well-documented presentation and drawings, and the just minimal and respectful approach, as well as just trying to maintain the spirit of the assembly as well. For the most part, trying to, you know, hide the CMU or the steel that supports it from like a magical place in the background. So I like that. As far as the nut, yeah, I like the idea of exposing it, you know, just a little detail about the reality of the situation. So I like the expression of that. My questions were the CMU wall behind the thin shell concrete. You said no one sees that. Is that just like at the back of the site that, and then is the CMU just going to be exposed CMU because no one ever sees it, or what's the finish on that?
That's a great question. No one sees it because we haven't invited people to go back there. I think it's fun to look back there, honestly. Is that you have to get past some mesquite trees that are low hanging and stuff like that. My hope is in the very long run, we are going to be able to at least stucco that and to make it, because it is kind of an interesting, Valley of the Moon is a great place to explore. And I think that does give people a place to explore it. I think it's good to show that, you know, to have a way for people to see how did we do this, you know? And we also, I don't like the idea of having that block there at all. However, we have, you know, I was at one point saying, could we do it in Adobe? Everybody got mad at me. But the what we've made a commitment to as a board is that our number one priority has to be keeping our buildings up. This is one complex out of 4. We have done a great job of rehabbing the Adobe house. I think we're going to do a great job of rehabbing the Enchanted Garden, but we have 2 other complexes left. And so we need to stabilize them before we can start thinking about Jenny's fantasies about a behind the scene tour. And so, and we've had to do that too with accessibility. We have fully fledged accessibility plans that I'm in love with, but unless we have a donor that says, I want to dedicate money to accessibility, since a lot of the money for our repairs are coming out of general funds from ticket sales and that sort of thing. We're lucky with the Enchanted Garden. The family of Linda Yokowski donated $100,000 to fix the Enchanted Garden in her memory, which is why we're able to do this. We're so fortunate. But we do have 2 other complexes to fix before we start getting too fancy, I think.
Okay, all righty. Any other
That's good.
questions?
The only other thing, and I appreciate all that, it's wonderful to hear. The only other thing I was curious about, since the planter, that's the suspended cantilever planter, since it has to come down, are you able to put it somewhere on site, like repurpose it somehow?
Actually going to do that. That's
Okay,
funny
good.
because a lot of people were like, Jenny, that's ridiculous. It may fall apart while we take it down.
Yeah.
We don't know. If it doesn't fall apart, or if it falls apart in a way we can just dab some connector cement on and whatnot, it's not a hazard to people. We intend to put it down low against a rise in the dirt where there's a pathway. So we'll have it supported kind of on 3 ends. So yeah, so we don't intend to lose it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Keep your fingers crossed that we can take it down in one piece. Yeah.
Okay, we should probably, if there's no other question that anyone has, that we should probably move ahead with a motion. And it sounds like we pretty much are on board with this, except we do have a suggestion we want to express about covering that one, or not covering that one repair. So whoever wants to, if that's what people want in the motion, could someone articulate that, please?
I would recommend, if you, just because I heard Jenny just mention it, if you would like to include stuccoing that support wall at a later date, so that it's a pretty minor thing, like she said, nobody sees it, but it could be something then she doesn't have to come back through.
Oh, exactly. Okay. That's good. And, so is someone willing to make a motion with that and the other item?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Savannah.
Okay. All right. On the matter of SD dash 1023 dash 00111 at 2544 East Allen Road. I move to recommend approval of the project as presented with the following comments. Just that the exposed nut on the tieback is the preference of this commission, and that the CMU support wall, the new wall, may be stuccoed at the owner's option.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Carol.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Joel,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
and Savannah.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. So, and Jenny, do you need what any further steps are from Jody? How does this work? Do you just
I
write?
think I know. I think I know just in about, I'll probably get a decision in a couple of weeks then, a formal decision. May I, but I don't think anybody would fault me if we're looking at getting a contract together to start the work. I'm assuming nobody would fault me, or do you think that there's a chance the director might say, no, I want this other thing to be done and I need to wait for the director to sign off?
I don't think that looking for a contractor to do the work is an issue. I mean, ultimately they'll do what's per the plans. But the decision letter will be issued in a few weeks, like you said, by the director. I don't think
Right,
he's, PRS isn't recommending denial. So that's where you would,
Right.
have an issue.
Yeah, we have Durazo in line to go ahead and give us a bid as soon as we have this finished here. And I'm eager to start the work. So I'll just let them know the way it is and let them make a decision where they are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jenny.
Thanks so much. Good luck with the project.
Thank you. Come out and see it, please.
Okay, we'll move on to 3D, which is case SD 1222-00010 at 620 North 6th Avenue. This is to replace a second floor balcony railing, relocate the front door. It's a full review in the West University Historic Preservation Zone. It's a contributing resource, and we use rehabilitation standards. Jody, would you like to give us some background?
Yes, so this is a code enforcement case. The property owner did work without getting the approvals prior. It did ultimately go to West University for two major sticking points. One was the balcony railing and the other was the relocation of the front door. At the April 18th meeting, the West University reviewed it and they recommended, sorry, I'm looking at this. They made a motion to move the door, that the door be moved to the center location now occupied by a window, that the door in the new proposed location have a transom above it to match the transom on the second floor, and the existing window to be moved to the existing door location with the lintel height to match the historic height of other windows. And that was approved 6-0. They also recommended in this meeting that the applicant return with a more appropriate design for the railing to better reflect the historic photo. So then they came back on September 19th to West University, and West University at that meeting made a motion to decline the proposed railing, and that was approved 4-0. And that's where they're at now.
Okay, so
Jose Rincon is here to present. He's the property owner. Sorry.
who was that again? I'm sorry.
Jose Rincon.
Okay. Go ahead, please, Jose.
Yes, am I able to share the screen and give you some historical context here?
Hold on just a minute. Yes, you should be good to go forward now, sharing your screen.
And that's not gonna work. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to refer to the items in your packet.
Well, except maybe Jody could share because we really need to see what you're doing.
If
Let
we
me give me a minute and I will bring it up. And then you can just tell me which ones you want me to be on and I'll go to that page.
Sure, if we could go to the miscellaneous photos.
Okay, hold on just a second. This is. I think this is your miscellaneous photos packet.
Yes, okay, we can stop there for now. Thank you, and just to give you some background, we bought this building almost exactly a year ago. And our original intent in the short term was to address 4 items, which Jody alluded to 2 of them. The other was to do some stucco repair and repainting of the building. So 4 total. Before we bought the building and did our research, we were told in reference to the website that this would be a minor review and it would take 45 to 60 days. We closed at the end of October. We made decisions, logistical, financial, to move. This is our place of business. This is where we operate based on those timelines. So what we did, if we could go to the next page. In looking at and researching what was there before, we found this photo from the historical inventory, and you know, the railing that existed as dated here in 1979. So so we then moved to the next photo, and this is what we bought for the last 20 to 45 years. This is what's existed. So we have record of 1979, and in MLS there is a picture from 2004 showing this railing as the existing railing. In our research prior to purchase, there was no record of any permit being solicited or code enforcement violation regarding the installation of this railing. And also, to be clear, you know, as Jody alluded, we did work without approvals. We submitted for approvals, and we tried to stick to the timeline that we were given that would be followed. However, if you recall, in December, last December and last January, and we can move to the next picture, we had unusual high amounts of the next one, that one, and the next 2, please. We had high amounts of rain that continued to badly deteriorate the building, the stucco, everything else. The balcony was badly rotted, and one more. And you know, you can appreciate here what we were up against at a time where we're moving our business, we're trying to do work. We're not out here trying to, you know, go against the grain and get work done that's not approved. Nonetheless, we had to move forward. We had to address safety issues. We had to protect our investment. So, you know, we waited the allotted time, but unfortunately didn't get, or the time that was represented it would take, but it didn't get to the zone advisory agenda until February 22nd. So 104 days later. In the meantime, we're trying to make a living and put forth a professional appearance that is safe for our employees to come to and for us to operate. Next picture. That's the underneath and you can see that not only upstairs in the balcony, but underneath the water, which is poured through. Next photo. So we had to make a decision to move forward on the banister, and without any feedback from the historic preservation folks, we went through a vendor, American Porch, who specializes in many historic restoration projects around the country. When we presented our dilemma, their recommendation was, if this is a 2-story building, why don't you send us a picture of what's existing in the interior? It's an architectural element that's already present on the property, and we can try to match that. Because again, for the last 20 to 45 years, what was actually existing looked nothing like this, nor did it look anything of what we can deem was the original banister. So so we move forward. Next photo. And we had to execute on what we thought would look good and capture some of the architectural elements that were there. And we installed this railing, which so far the advisory board did not approve. We've made a significant investment in this. The mixed messaging of what existed for 20 to 45 years without any permit, without any code violation is a little bit confusing, to say the least. We're not sure why it was okay for that property owner to have that, but it's not okay for us to try and match something that exists already as an architectural element in this property. And and this is what it looks like now. So I'm really at a situation where we've made a $20,000 investment, and we can't afford to just scrap it and start over when timelines were given to us by a senior member of the Historic Preservation Office, and not followed. So that's where we're at. Not to be a complainer, but to offer a solution based on some of the comments that we heard at the last meeting in September from the Historic Advisory Board, is we would propose to shorten these columns so that currently they're 10 inches above the horizontal railing, lower those to an appropriate height, and then change out the caps on these to be flat, and therefore give it a look that perhaps is more resembles more what originally existed, and still look a lot better than what's existed for the last 20 to 45 years. That's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to begin with questions?
I can start. I mean, I think it's pretty compelling what you've done versus the steel rail that was there originally. And I appreciate and agree with the proposal to you talk about the newel posts, the higher points within the rail,
Yeah.
the posts.
Yeah,
So
to 5 of them, correct.
So I would say, yeah, reducing the height of those and the kind of the detailing at the top, because I'm looking at the historic photo, the very first one you showed, I do see the newel post raised higher than the top rail to some extent, just not as much as your recent installation, but I still see it there.
Right. I think if we did that, it's going to resemble that look a heck of a lot closer than again what's existed the last 20 to 45 years.
I agree, and I'm glad that it's wood too, so there's a lot of compatibility there.
Actually, it's
oh, is it steel?
It's not wood. It's a material that's engineered to hold up to the elements better than wood, but look like wood.
Like a composite?
It's,
Plastic.
hang on, it's in the minutes from the last time, but it is
Bit like a Trex.
it's a polyurethane. And this is what's commonly used. American Porch is the name of the company that we found. I believe they're out of Wyoming. And there's extensive material and engineering reports that I'm happy to provide as background as to why this makes so much more sense as an investment. Just given that this is a west exposure and directly in line with our intense heat, and this will hold up a lot better.
Did you say that, Jody, did you say that West University had an issue with the material or not?
Sorry, say that again.
Did West University have an issue with the material?
They had an issue with the design of the railing. I don't recall that they got too much into the discussion of the material of it. It was more centered around the design, not matching what seems to be the original one. The current configuration appears to be quite a bit more decorative than what is showing up in the historic photo. That was the focus of the primary discussion.
Is the balustrade element, those members, do they have like that little taper thing to them? I can't tell from the night image.
This is
Is that-
what's there now. Can you see this? Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
You are, yeah. It's just small on my screen, but that's okay. So that's the original just had a straight,
No.
probably square edge wood member, whereas these have like a lathe profile to them. Is that the
Correct.
okay?
That and how it's the inset here, that was really the primary discussion that I recall.
And again, we're trying to match what's already existing in the property. So it's, it wasn't a blind decision to do this. But I mean, there you see the side by side. I mean, and I know it's, we want to make it an irrelevant question, but I'm going to keep asking why it was okay for 20 to 45 years for that to exist. And when the new property owner tries to improve upon that and at least make an effort to match, given the time constraints that we were under, it seems to be a problem. With regards to the question of the material, there was two comments, and I'm sorry I don't remember their names, but the initial comment from one of the members of the advisory committee was, I'm not sure we would even approve polyurethane. And it was immediately followed by a comment from the female representative, who actually, I believe, is an architect, and spoke in favor of a more durable material that is designed to look like wood.
Okay, so basically it's just up to us if we are okay with this or think it should be the other kind of, and it's really difficult for me to see on the current, so the far right photo is the current elevation. You can't really make that any bigger. It's just, it has a straight post so you can see that they're not curved and such. So I'm just making that comment. Now the front door, I'm confused about that. Is the door being moved and replaced or just replaced?
It's being, so right now the door is here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. And then in the middle.
Yeah, they're proposing to relocate it here. And then put a window here. The only documentation that they have is a really skewed side photo. So it's difficult to tell what was in this original configuration, if there was a door originally here. West University was okay with it. I did talk to the State Historic Preservation Office about this. There is generally a high degree of concern about relocating doors when there is not really documentation on the door being in another location.
Right, and that's what was going to be my question, because you know, you don't really want major changes to the facade in terms of
Jody,
main-
are you able to, sorry to interrupt, are you able to pull up, there's an attachment that says, I think it's the second one, yeah, that one. So that is the one that's kind of skewed is blowing up.
Oh, I think actually it's this one. Sorry.
If you scroll, I think if you can, so yeah, there you can see that the first opening is a window and not a door. And that's, I spent 3-4 hours looking for photos, and this is the best I could do out of the file of the Baptist church from the 1940s that I could find. And if you drive around West University, you are hard pressed to find any property with stairs leading up to the front entry where the front window, I'm sorry, the front door is not centered with those stairs.
Can you clarify what opening this is in the image? It's the
one
So this is right here. I think that West University has a lot of, as do all historic homes, a lot of placements of the front door. Some of them are right up front steps, some of them aren't. But this is it's from this angle coming this way over here that they're looking. So if you go, so this is from up the street. The church is right here. And then it's focused in right in this area. So it's kind of an oblique view.
We think that is a window.
I think the property owner believes it's a window, and I'm frankly not sure about it. I think there's a lack of information to really determine it.
I mean,
are we sure this is this side of the building and not the other side that has the window?
Yes, because the other side curves out. There's a
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
in
the inventory
curves
in the
out.
inventory film, or in the inventory form, the photo shows the door to the right and the window centered.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I have submitted the floor plan in the past, and I'm sorry it's not, but if the floor plan, so where the front door is now, it opens right into a room, which we can presume was a bedroom back in the day. Where the centered window now is, it opens up into what looks more like a foyer. And you know, it makes no sense for that configuration to exist. And I'm sorry that it's not in this packet, but
where is the stair up?
Sorry, I was just seeing if I
don't know if Alex ever included it or not, but
Yeah, Savannah, that's a good question you just asked.
I don't think we ever got a floor plan originally from Alex.
I don't know. I was just thinking it might provide some evidence.
if I can find it, can I email it to you?
Yeah.
I know we're limited on time here, but
wasn't there a photo of the stairway? Does that show the configuration kind of more of the, it's in a hallway or what?
It showed like a diamond window in the background from what I remember, which I couldn't
This
place
one?
in that.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So that it's leading up right about halfway. So if you go down the stairs and to the right, there's you run right into that window. Okay, I've got it here. Come on, baby, load.
Oh.
Jose, have you sent it or am I still waiting on it?
It just hit send.
I have a question. Surely you could tell if the door had been relocated on the building. There should be some evidence of that. And it looks like those two windows are the same height, but it looks like the door is a different height, but that might just be the angle of the picture.
Yeah, I think you're right from that oblique view.
So there's the downstairs. And so it's just dead space. There's no utility other than, again, I'm not an architect, but just common sense would dictate that that's a receiving area for you. We can speculate, but the original owner was a piano professor at the university, and I remember when my kids took piano classes, the instructors, when they worked out of their home, liked to have a private entrance that didn't parade students or kids all through the house and could just come in and out for lessons. But again, that's just speculation. But with the question regarding, can you tell if there was a front door there? It's really hard to tell because there's a pop out in the front that they used again to match. So if there was it's hard to find cracks in or points of stress or inflection in the exterior stucco that would tell us that. And Jody, I wasn't at the meeting in April, but my understanding was that the West University Advisory Board did approve or did make a recommendation to allow that relocation of the front door.
Correct. Do you want me to go back? Are you guys done looking at this floor plan? Do you want me to go back to the other screen?
I'm done looking at it. If you want to move.
Done.
I'll go back to the other one.
See, that seems to have an opening. Well, for one, it looks like a window screen frame, and there's two squares, and the top square seems to go a lot higher than what the door opening goes up to.
What the portion of the photo that's to the left? Or what, point to it with your cursor, that part? You're saying that that's lower, that looks like a door?
That looks like a door, and the one to the right, if you compare like this white frame. See how it's got
Yep.
two parts to it. That looks like either a window frame or some kind of a window screen, or it looks a lot more like a window than a door.
Well, I think it is very difficult to tell, and having this as sort of the only piece of evidence. So my question is, has the door already been moved? Is that
No.
the issue?
No,
Okay.
of the four things that we requested, the only one that required structural changes, and I wasn't brave enough to do that, is especially without any existing precedence of a non-conforming opening in the front, like you have a non-conforming banister on the balcony. So no, it has not been moved.
But the new balcony is in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, but we're not talking in this review, Jody, are we, about the stucco repair or the building painting that he mentioned earlier?
The stucco repair was not the whole building. If you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. The
No, but
painting,
we're not. What are we review? I mean, it doesn't list it as part of the review, is what I'm saying.
correct. The main portions are because it was repair. It wasn't, as I understand it, the full building. It was spot repair on it. And then you're focusing on the railing and the door relocation.
Okay, and then the proposed door that you want to put in is that very ornate one. And what does it currently have?
Similar. I mean, we can use the same door.
It's just the same door. You could, well,
Yeah.
I would just not want this building to lose its contributing status if the door location was moved. Because SHPO is very sensitive to that.
Well, I would be okay with tabling the door pending further research to see if I, of course, ideally it would be finding a picture from this angle, from 1920s, 30s, or 40s that would show us where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Have you looked at the Historical Society yet?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have. The one photo, this first photo, that was my photo.
Okay.
So I went, and there's not a lot. These are really the only two photos that
And you can't, yeah, you
found
can't
the first
tell
one
me.
and I found the second one.
Whew.
somebody recommended, it might be our only shot, is there's still an endowed chair and scholarship in Professor Rebel's name, Julia Rebel, and perhaps the university will have a contact for a family member that could put out some old photo albums.
That would be, sometimes it's a great way to go. I mean, I would be in favor of tabling the door if that's possible to do, Jody, until further research. And then just making a recommendation on, basically it's on whether to accept what he's done with the balcony railing, correct?
You can table it. There is, because this is a code enforcement case, there is a court date for it. Jose, you may know that court date better than I do. I've got a summons for it, but I can't recall it off the top of my head.
It's in
Uh,
December.
It's
But
in start December.
It's the first week in December.
Okay, but is the violation only about the railing?
It's about the railing.
Yeah, so if we said that, whatever we say, that we recommend that that the railing is okay as proposed, and then we postpone, I don't know how that would work, like postpone the decision on the door relocation until better.
You can continue it. You can just continue that item.
But there's a timeline on that. I mean, how long would, these things take time, these reaching out to family members and so on.
Yeah, so you're not putting a date certain on it. You can continue it and it's up to him. At some point, the permit does expire. So he would have to request an extension for the permit.
But that's
Um,
usually not a huge issue, is it?
Well, and because this item is on the permit already, he would have to get the permit actually issued, it has to address. So like all items, it might behoove you, Jose, to withdraw the door portion and come back at a later date when you are able to find better documentation.
Well, I would respectfully request that I be allowed to do that, remove the front door from for now, and respectfully request that you approve the railing with the 2 proposed changes, and that is to lower the height of the columns. And I'm sorry, Savannah, you mentioned the appropriate name, but to lower that height, and then put flat caps on them if that's something you would want me to do.
Well,
This is Joel. I'm certainly in favor of that. I think the railings are an improvement from the old wrought iron ones, and the door relocation, I'd like to take a look at that further, continue it.
well, no, he's just going to withdraw it because
Oh, okay. Well,
isn't that right, Jody? He's withdrawn that, so when we make a motion, it will be only on the railings.
Yeah.
Okay. So who else has comments? Carol, Jan, Savannah,
I'm in favor. I'm gonna have to leave here.
right now?
We
Okay.
can get a vote. I think that the railing is an improvement over what was there. It's unfortunate that it's not wood, but I think that making the modifications would be helpful, so.
Okay. Can you stay as long as if we make the motion in the next few minutes?
Yes, to make a vote, yeah.
Okay. Jan, what about you?
Yeah, I think the modifications, I support the modifications. I think it's an improvement. I think it's unfortunate that we didn't get an opportunity to weigh in on the railing and perhaps have a simpler solution that might have been cheaper to begin with. But I think the modifications are improvement. I will say that between the photo and the floor plan, I'm tilting toward thinking there is a logic to the door location in the proposed location, but I appreciate that more information would be really helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Savannah, did you want to say any more, or Joel, or would somebody make a motion? And do we need to acknowledge, Jody, that he's withdrawing the door proposal? I think we should say in the motion that we're only talking about the floor balcony railing.
Yeah, I would make that distinction, and I would say probably suggest a condition that plans are revised to remove mention of the relocation of the door.
Yeah. Okay. So who would like to make that motion?
I can do it.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Let me get organized for a second, pull my agenda back up. Okay. And the thing, sorry, just to clarify before I begin, Jody, the thing that you mentioned, do I need to state that as kind of like a note on the motion that the relocation work, the door is withdrawn from the application and to be removed from, is that part of the motion?
I would include that. I would
Okay.
recommend including that. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. On the matter of SD-122-00010 at 620 North 6th Avenue, I move to recommend approval of the project as presented with the street facing second floor balcony railing to be modified, with the newel post to be shortened and the cap and deep detailing to be simplified to get closer to the historic look. And with the note that the proposed door relocation work has been withdrawn and should be removed from the plans.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second
Second.
that.
Good.
Okay, Carol seconding. Is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and vote. Terry votes aye. Joel,
I,
Carol,
Aye.
Savannah,
Aye.
Jan.
I,
Okay, it passes 5-0 and do you have anything applicant to ask about that, Jose? Are you okay?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Thank you. And I guess I would just ask Jody for direction as to what we do next in order to comply and with this motion.
There will be a decision letter issued. You will have 14 days. There'll be 14 days from the date of the decision letter to appeal the decision. West University Historic Zone Advisory Board can appeal, PRS can appeal, you as the owner can appeal. If you appeal, there's a fee associated with it. You would submit that to the city clerk and the reasons for your appeal. It would go to mayor and council. Mayor and council would make the decision of whether to uphold the appeal or not. If there is no appeal, then after the 14 days, you would submit your revised plans per the conditions of the decision letter. If there is an appeal, I should go back. If there is an appeal during that appeal period and process as it's making its way to mayor and council for a decision, you cannot pull permits. So you're in a holding pattern until a decision is made.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And okay, Carol, if you need to jump off, I'll have you jumping off at 3:05. Does that work for you?
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Good luck, Jose, with finding your documentation.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to item 4, which is National Register of Historic Places nominations. 4A is University of Arizona Campus Agricultural Center at 4101 North Campbell Road. This is National Register criteria A and C, and the period of significance is 1909 to 1958. And what we'll be doing is giving you some information for your CLG response in advance of HSRC on November 3rd, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we do have one public comment that you sent to us with a correction to it. And I suspect you should read that into the record.
Okay. Do you want me to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Dear TPCHC Plans Review Subcommittee members, as a member of the TPCHC and a chair of the Historic Landscape Subcommittee, I feel it is important to comment on review item 4A, the National Register of Historic Places registration form for the University of Arizona Campus Agricultural Center. I appreciate that the registration form district includes not only historic structures, but also a small portion of agricultural fields in the southeast portion of parcel 108210033D. My concern is that the nomination ignores the remaining cultural and historic significance of the entire site as documented in the University of Arizona Campus Agricultural Center City of Tucson Historic Landmark nomination. I hope that the National Register of Historic National Register of Historic Places registration form is helpful in the future conservation of the listed structures and the agricultural fields. I am deeply concerned about the lack, and this was his correction, of an inclusion. Was that his correction? Lack and inclusion of subsequent protection of the extensive cultural and historic resources on the full site. Parcels 108210033D, 108250016B, and 108250017C. Therefore, I encourage that the Tucson Historic Landmark nomination go forward. Respectfully submitted, Steve Grady, Chair, TPCHC Historic Landscape Subcommittee. And then he did have a correction, and I think I flubbed that correction, which was that I also sent out to you. Hi, Jody, I noticed a typo in my comment. It should read, quote, concerned about the lack of inclusion, unquote. And that went out earlier today, just as a minor correction.
Okay.
Jen Levstick is here. She is an author of the nomination and she can present. And
Thank
Jen, you're listed as a co-host, so if you need to share your screen, you're welcome to do so.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that I need to share my screen. Sorry, everyone, I had the meeting scheduled for the wrong day, so I apologize for my informal attire. I was contacted by the University of Arizona to move forward with a National Register nomination. As you all are aware, there has been a a local landmark application submitted prior to this. It has not currently, been listed as a landmark. So I'm, aware of the previous efforts and work that have been done on this particular property. In consultation with the university, we arrived at a much smaller historic district. So it's a 13-acre historic district out of a much larger agricultural campus, which is, 176 acres. So there's sort of several reasons for arriving at a smaller district. One of which is that the highest concentration of contiguous historic resources are within the district that we have created. So there's lots of intrusive, modern or contemporary facilities in and around the historic district. So you would have a very hard time creating a historic district that actually had a sufficient number of contributors versus non-contributors. So, for example, if you were to take the entire 176 acres, you would actually have more non-contributing resources than you would have contributing resources. So I understand that there are landscape elements and things like that I believe that the landscape subcommittee is concerned about. But even with all of those added in, you would not have a viable historic district based on the National Register standards. In addition, there was consultation prior to the university contacting me. So when the initial landmark application materials were submitted to the university, there was several, episodes of consultation with the SHPO, and the SHPO and the university in concert arrived at this 13 acres district. So according to SHPO, they felt that this was a sufficient district for it rather than encompassing the entire 176 acres. So basically most of the historic resources would have been on the east side of Campbell. So there's the Ewing farm that's on the east side of Campbell. There are some historic facilities over there from the late 1920s. But again, as I said, overall, what we decided to do was to be able to create a boundary around the highest concentration of historic resources that were contributing. As you can see from the nomination, there's only one non-contributing resource within those boundaries. And we also thought it was important to create at least a sample of some of those landscape features so that we, included the landscape in part of the district. So that's kind of some of the background on the historic district. SHPO's had an opportunity to weigh in and review this. They haven't had any concerns as far as the boundary goes. I think the only concerns that SHPO has expressed were whether or not they believe it's a vernacular landscape versus a design landscape. I'm sticking to vernacular for now. I'll see what HSRC says in November. Bill Collins seems to think it's a design landscape. I adamantly disagree with him. So we'll see what happens with that. And then the only other question that SHPO had on this was my use of the term American territorial to describe the residents that's on the property. It is a local sort of architectural form that was coined by Brooks and Annie Niquette in their Tucson architecture book. And Bill would prefer folk architecture, but again, I'm leaving it as is unless I get, pushback from the Historic Sites Review Committee, or if any of you have any issues. I've used that term quite frequently for local architecture, and I've never had an issue until now. So, but those were the only concerns that SHPO brought up with me. Anyway, so that's kind of an overview. So I'm, open to any kind of questions or any concerns that you all may have.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Who would like to begin with questions? I just did want to say that if Steve Grady was commenting as a member of the public, this never came before the full commission to vote on on this or whatever. It's long been known that they favored, there was a faction of the commission that, not faction, but just some folks favored the landmark designation. And but that's not what we're voting on. So but that does bring up the inclusion of certain resources, right, Jen? I mean, you addressed that in the beginning.
Yeah, so the landmark would be pretty much everything. So the landmark would be the 176 acres. And again, this is university property, so the university would have to agree to the landmark designation, and they feel that, their sort of, their offering is to say, well, we'll do a historic district, and this is what we're going to do, so that they are interested in the preservation of this particular property. They realize the importance of it. But this is the compromise on their end.
Right, and it would never become a landmark unless they agreed to that large, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
So,
the university would have to agree to that.
Yeah, and it's currently without any form of nomination or designation. I'm not going to say
No,
protect,
no,
because,
correct. But as a university, it's sort of this, they do have a preservation plan, and so throughout, at least certainly within the recent past, any kind of changes that have been made to any of these buildings have been done in consultation with SHPO. So even though it wasn't a historic district, so several of the buildings that have been modified, like the barns and things, those have all been done in consultation with SHPO. So any changes that have been made currently have gotten SHPO approval.
so that's good to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
so even prior to the designation or the attempted designation, they have, done their due diligence.
Yeah, and they never really do courtesy reviews, Jody, do they? I've never seen them do that. So
They are not required to do courtesy reviews. It's a hierarchy, and we have as a city and municipality, we have no jurisdiction over the University of Arizona. So even if it was for some reason designated as a historic landmark, we would have no jurisdiction. It's not something that we would deal with, so it wouldn't come to you.
Yeah.
It would be their option and their prerogative if they bought a project to.
No, exactly. But what I'm saying is they could if they wish, but they don't. But at least they're getting SHPO review.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, those are my comments. Does anyone else have a question?
I just have a question on that. I mean, is there momentum, or is there a timeline on the HL? And is that they're trying to do this first, or is?
No, they don't want to do it.
Yeah, they don't want to do the HL.
Okay. I thought so. The HL wouldn't follow this in the same boundary or anything. They're not even remotely interested. Okay.
Yeah, no, they don't want to do an HL at all, but they're happy to do the historic district designation, which would be, I think, the second time in their history that they've done a historic designation after the campus, which was done in like 1979. So this is actually a big deal for the university to move forward with another historic district.
And it's I'm not saying that I wish it wouldn't be different, but this is a compromise after a lot of public outcry and feedback on this issue, correct?
Yes. So, and just to ease everyone's mind, they have no intention of selling it off to the highest bidder. So,
but they do with the additional property that doesn't become part of this, the partials that Steve mentioned, they can do whatever they wish with.
In theory, yes, they could do whatever they want. The idea is to continue to keep it as an agricultural center, so there would still be, open space, and that most of the buildings and things that would be added would be in that northern end of the property, and that would largely just be classroom buildings, those kinds of things. So the intention is never, and based on what, conversations I've had with the folks that run the facility, that there's no intention of doing high-rise development or anything like that. It's going to be classroom space, scientific research space, and then are continuing a rotating selection of fields for different plant experiments and so on.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well,
questions?
so yeah, just to go back to Steve's, he said he encouraged the nomination to go forward. I mean, he's not encouraging us to do that. We have no power to do that, right?
No, I think he's encouraging us to do whatever we can and say this should include more. This should on the landmark. And I just made the comment that my view is that if he was speaking as a citizen, he should disclose that but he submitted this as chair of the landscape subcommittee, and that's somewhat problematic speaking on behalf, but maybe not. I mean, take it into consideration, but
Yeah. This is Jan. I'm a member of the Historic Landscape Subcommittee, and this was thoroughly reviewed and developed in consultation. I'm talking about the historic landmark nomination. And I can't remember now if it at any point came to PRS earlier on, but I just want to echo Chair Grady's comments that there is substantial cultural and historic significance of the whole campus farm landscape. And I think that's why he is still encouraging consideration. We understand the university's position, but that is to not negate, I guess, the importance of that context. And I hear what Jen is saying, and yet there is really no assurance that context for those buildings would remain, and it is an important part of the history. So I understand these are two separate things: a national nomination for the structures, but there is an important context in the campus farms landscape.
right, and I believe if it was maybe well over a year ago, we recommended the full commission did hear the nomination for the landmark, I believe, and we recommended to mayor and council that it go forward, and it couldn't go forward because without the landowner's permission, right? So I think we were on record saying that we supported that nomination, and whatever's in the motion could say, well, we regret that it can't be for a larger area. But yeah, that's just all I'll say about that. So, any other comments before we make a motion?
I think it's a very thorough and well-researched document. I loved seeing the Josted drawing, so thanks, Jen, looked great.
Yeah, I learned a lot actually about agriculture that I never knew doing this. So it's actually really fun. And it's a pretty amazing place with everything they've been able to accomplish scientifically. And so it's actually really fun working on it.
Good. Anyone else? Okay. So we're familiar because recently, several meetings ago, I believe we just did another one of these. And I had sent out a sample of the kinds of motions we usually do for these kinds of things so that Jody can go to those and write. She has to submit comment on behalf of the CLG for these nominations. So basically it's, do we think it's thorough? Do we approve of it? Do we support it? That doesn't prohibit us from saying, well, we wish a larger area couldn't be included, right? I mean, it doesn't mean, and that could be a discussion, and it likely will be a discussion at HSRC for members that don't know the drama that's been going on in Tucson. So, I think, I don't know, Jody, will you be at that meeting? You'll call in or whatever?
Yeah, usually I call in when we have a number of items. I don't know if I'll be there physically.
Yeah.
If I'm
Well,
not, I usually am on the phone for 8 hours, but
what?
Well, I think my intention this time is to be there, since the last time I tried to do a call in, it was disastrous. So my intention is to physically be there. And again, so Jody, if there's any issues with explaining the backstory on this, I'm happy to help chime in.
Yeah, and I might ask, that be discussed because it is clearly a concern of a lot of people, and I think it needs to be understood why it is the way it is.
Yeah, and there has, I mean, just to reassure you all, there has been those discussions with the university and SHPO, so they are in theory well aware of some of these issues. So this was sort of, the decision based on that SHPO U of A consultation, which is the district that we arrived at.
Mm-hmm. So you said that designed, what was Bill like designed? And you like,
Bill thinks it's a designed landscape, and I don't see this as a designed landscape. But that's a minor change if it comes to it. I just have to make an argument that it's designed, which I don't know how I'm gonna do. Because it's not designed.
right? Yeah, you were rural. Okay. All right. Does someone want to make a motion and about supporting the nomination? Because I think we support the nomination despite the fact that some people wish we could have more area. Does that make sense?
Well, and Terry, would it be appropriate then, can we, as Steve Grady has suggested, encourage that the Tucson Historic Landmark nomination go forward? I understand that it's a separate process, but that would then be on record.
I don't know, because we're just making a recommendation and Jody's going to include what she includes, and they have nothing to do with the landmark process. So, right, we're recommending to HSRC. We could, that's why I'm suggesting some kind of qualifying statement that we wish more land, more area and things could be included as in the Tucson Historic Landmark nomination that had been prepared, but support what's been done here, because I don't think we don't just,
Right.
It's a tough thing, but we word it, and then, I mean, Jody, would you feel comfortable putting some sort of language in there?
If that's part of your recommendation, that's fine. I'll include it.
And I think then we get that in there, and then it sort of brings up, people may wonder about that, and they will, like I said, they will ask, because they're inquiring minds that will want to know and that aren't from Tucson, right? So they won't know. Okay, don't all jump in at once, please. Let's do it, because it's almost 3:30.
Isn't the motion just to authorize the board chair to write a letter of support?
No, it's not. No. We make,
Oh,
and no, we're making a motion so that Jody can write a letter. She's the HPO. She has to write a letter of, what the CLG, which is represented by us, will say. Is that
okay,
correct, Joe?
I move that.
Can I run something by based on what Terry was kind of noodling on, that something along the lines that we would like Jody's letter to include I don't know if wish is the right word. I think that more of the landscape could be included consistent with the Tucson Historic Landscape nomination.
Encourage,
sure.
Yeah, but we also feel that, the nomination itself is solid, except for
Oh,
that
sure. I mean, that it's a both and. I mean, it's not,
well-researched and, comprehensive, except for this one thing that we wish we encourage be done.
Encourage, more of the landscape.
Would you rather make this motion, Jan? Somebody,
let's see. I'll give it a shot. In the matter of the National Register of Historic Places nomination for the University of Arizona Campus Agricultural Center, we appreciate the work that went into this nomination and support the Tucson Historic Preservation Officer moving forward with a letter of support, acknowledging the subcommittee's desire to encourage that more of the landscape be included, consistent with the Tucson Historic Landscape nomination. Landmark designation for the campus farms, Campus Agricultural Center, several names it's known by.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. I vote aye. Joel,
Yes,
Savannah,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye,
and it's just the four of us, right? Because four of us.
all right.
Correct.
My client, 30 minutes late calling her. Okay, so are you okay with that, Jody?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen, for the presentation, if you're still on.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks, guys. All right,
Yeah.
bye, everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks.
Okay, item 5, task force on inclusivity report recommendations. 5A is discussion on best practices for naming of city and county owned physical assets. Try to have a meeting with Carol and Ricky and get this done by the end of the year, but I don't know with these lengthy agendas, and we might know, a lot's going on right now. So no report. Okay, item 6, current issues for information discussion. 6A is minor reviews. Do you have a report, Michael?
Yes, Madam Chair. Tomorrow I have a minor review that I requested, availability. I think Joe, you said you'll be able to help.
Joel, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Later in the morning, like after 10, Michael. Yeah,
Okay, so you want us to do 10:30?
that would be best. Yes.
Do you want to do it on site or you want it on Zoom?
Your preference. You just let me know.
Okay, I think we should do on site because the plans that I sent out really will not show anything on Zoom. So we'll do an on site at 10:30 tomorrow.
I agree with you. Okay, good deal.
Thank you very much. And then the next, I have 2 pending ones that I will be calling for availability. 310 South Maya in the barrio, which is for air condition, and another one for 603 North 3rd Avenue in West University for a solar. But I will reach out for availability on those. That is what I have for minor reviews right now, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Okay, 6B is appeals.
Whereas as staff reported last time, you know that we have the case on Fort Law 5259 East Fort Law, which is going to mayor and council for a hearing on November 14, 2023.
Okay, November 14th.
November 14, 2023. That is
Okay,
the
that's the
appeal
Fort
case
Law.
that we have so far.
Okay, thank you. 60C zoning violations.
Like you just saw one today, we continue to work on these violations with our liaison person, Rick. So just a standard reporting that we do every meeting.
Okay, 6D review process issues.
I don't have any.
Apologies about the property along Speedway. There was some glitch, like I said, with Energov, and we weren't able to upload those, and I forgot to forward the additional information to you. So I apologize for that.
Jody, this is Jan. There's probably nothing you can do about this, but the new way of accessing plans, many times you can't, I can't read or enlarge the notes and things. So it's really hard to get a sense, even when there are plans, because of the scale. And then you also can't print them.
Yeah, there's a mix because like every now and then it just downloads as a PDF, and then if you
Yeah.
have your own favorite viewer, you can just zoom in and like
Yeah.
I'm a Bluebeam nut, so I do that. But on base is so difficult to navigate, and most of the time you cannot download. You have to print, and then you just have to pick a page size, which is silly.
So this is it downloading as a PDF. Can you guys see my screen?
Right.
And you can, up here is the plus and minus, so you can enlarge.
Right.
It doesn't always let you download as a PDF though.
That quite often
Well,
you can't.
So this is the other format that it downloads in. And there is a plus or minus up here to reduce
Right.
and enlarge.
Can we always get it in the first version, not this version? Is that, do you have any control over that?
I have no control over that.
Who
But I
does?
can ask about it. Your preference is to have it download as an
Yeah.
on base, not as a PDF.
No, a PDF,
As a
not this.
PDF, I think.
You would rather it, okay. I'll ask. I can't make any guarantees on this one. This is outside of my purview. But always download as a PDF. Yeah, I'll ask.
Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that we talked about how the minutes are going to change, that I'm no longer going to do the lengthy transcriptions that I do. And like I said, Jody, I'm willing to review the motion, look at the motion, send those to you like quicker than, than doing a 10-page transcription and then typing it up, So will there still be an opportunity for commissioners to review beforehand? Or let's say that I just transcribed motions, got those to everybody, and people could comment to you in a rapid time, because I just sometimes worry about the wording, and I mean sometimes there's a little glossing that I do, but I really feel more comfortable if people look at that. So do you think that that's a possibility to eliminate review of the full, of the full deal, or I just look at the full deal, or whoever's the chair? I mean, what do you think? Just so that we can move this along.
I think
Great.
that's fine. I can get the motion. So right now we have a guy, Kyle, who is transcribing the motions for us. So he's literally just giving me the motions, and then Michael's going to put it into the minutes LAR format that you used to see, so that it's all pretty and everything like that. But I can send the motions to you so you can review them, and if you want to forward them around to the other subcommittee members, that's fine too.
Yeah,
We just
and-
like a quicker turnaround on them, just because we're getting calls about, where's my decision letter, and
Well, yeah, and it used to not be such a problem, but it's a real problem now with these, an hour and a half for one case, for example. I mean, it's just out of control. And so, it's just very difficult. And then how do you handle extensive public comments so that it's representative? And, we want to be
understood.
all that. But I think that if you send me the link to the recording like you have done, it's much easier for me to work with that than it is. I mean, it's great to have the YouTube video, but it's not as easy for me to search and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think that will be fine, and I really appreciate, your patience. It's just been impossible for me to keep up with work and all that. So,
And thanks for letting us kind of change the format a little bit. I
oh,
appreciate
well, but yeah, that we're a team, so it's fine. Any other review process issues? Okay. Other than the comment, let's go on to item 7, summary of public comments. Other than the item received from Commissioner Grady, did you receive any other comments?
it did not.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 8 is future agenda items, and our next meeting is
You kind of faded out there, Terry.
I'm sorry, I probably was in front of my microphone. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 9th.
Which is fine. I do want to talk about the meeting after that. The fourth Thursday of the month falls on Thanksgiving.
Well, I just have one. Can we just have one meeting in November, or do we have too many backed up cases?
I'm concerned about the rate that it's going lately, so I'd like to have it as an option. So I mean, if need be, we can cancel it, but I'd still like to have it as an option if we can make a second date in November.
Okay, let me just explain what's happening. I have 2 work meetings that I absolutely can't get out of on. Okay, I'm looking at my calendar in November. 8-9, which is Wednesday, Thursday, and 15-16. I mean, they're like big tribal meetings that I'm running, so I can't not be there. So that means I won't be. We're thinking of moving the commission meeting from the 8th to the 15th, so Jen can chair for me as vice chair, right? So, and I won't be there on the 9th or 16th. So whatever you guys want to do is fine with me.
Wait, I totally missed your last part. So we're talking
Okay.
about moving it from the 9th to the 15th now?
No, the full commission meeting, I'm gonna see
Oh.
how people can attend on the 15th. But I can't be at a plans review meeting on the 9th or on the 16th.
Understood.
Yeah, and I could be, I don't know if we want to try it. I'd prefer not to do it on the 2nd, just, for me, but whatever other people think. Were you thinking moving it to the 30th possibly? Or
I hadn't even gotten that far. I was just thinking to get it off of Thanksgiving someday. So I'm open to today's, however you wanna. But we
Well,
could do 30th.
if you sent out a message saying how many people can attend on the 9th, the 16th, and the 30th, and I would welcome an hour, 2.5 meetings rather than, it's too much. And what do the caseloads look like coming up in November is the thing we need to be honest about.
We have a courtesy review, the one that we just did. We have my thing. Sorry, I don't have my list open.
The courtesy review would be the one we didn't, the Amazon Hotel, right?
Yeah, and then we have a case in Armory Park. We have 3 cases in West University. And Thursday night I have El Presidio, so there'll be 2 cases that I'll likely move forward from El Presidio. So we have a fair number of projects moving forward.
Yeah, we do. So what do people think? What in general do people think about, the 9th, the 16th, or the 30th?
So all those work for me, Terry, but you said you're gone the 9th and the 16th. So I was gonna suggest Tuesdays, kind of like what we're doing here, but I think that doesn't work for Ricky. Is that right?
I think you're correct. It doesn't work
Okay.
for Ricky because she's working.
We could have one without Terry, and
Yeah,
then we could have the 30th.
Yeah, if you or Jan would care, and then
Sure.
if we one to the Tuesday, that might work too. If we do 2 in November, and I could probably do other. I just can't do the weeks of the 6th or the 13th. It's just not happening for me with work.
So if we do the 30th, you'll have at least a break because the next meeting won't be until December 14th. So we could do the 9th and the 30th. So the 9th, you just wouldn't be present and somebody else would chair, but Ricky would be there, hopefully. And then just do the 30th. Thoughts?
Yeah,
Works for me.
yeah. And so if you could, and I could be there on the 30th, as far as I can tell. Yeah. And maybe you could just email around and people please respond so that Jody and I and Michael aren't, most of you respond, but I won't tell you who the naughty ones. So anyway, then that would be good. And then we'll know for sure. Don't you think, Jody, you can plan?
Yeah. Joel and Jan, does the 30th and the 9th work for you guys since you're here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And also the 2nd yeah.
Okay. I will also email.
Thank you. Just to, say that we all agreed that these could be the dates, and that, Savannah, do you want to chair? Do you want Jan to chair on the 9th?
I'm happy to, but Jan's better at it. So.
Oh, no, I think Savannah's better at it.
Well, you guys can duke that out, whoever when it comes to that. But you both did such a great job. Thank you. So, okay. Any other agenda item material you want to give us, Jody?
I think that's it.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks everyone for your persistence and great comments, and we'll be adjourned at 3:42.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Jody, will I see you at the conference?
Yeah, I should be around. I gotta work on a PowerPoint presentation.
When are you